You may be seated. There's a few seats left up here in front. If those would like to sit, there's a few more seats up front. Well, good morning. My name is Ken Johnson, and on behalf of the Van Ruiten family, I would like to thank you all for being present today for Robert, or as we know him, Bobby Van Ruiten's funeral. I would like to acknowledge Bobby's family in attendance today. His father, his sisters, his nephews, his cousins, his aunts and uncles. I would like to recognize the members of the Stockton Fire Department, Stockton Fire Auxiliary, the Woodbridge Fire District, and American Medical Response. All of you are part of Bobby's journey, and as such, part of his family. Today we gather to celebrate the life of a truly beloved man. This will be a time of mourning. It will be a time of laughter. It will be a time of reflection and a time of remembrance. But most importantly, it is a time to gather together, sharing Bobby's stories. This is the grieving process. But there is a saying that goes like this: grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grieving is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. Grief is the price of love. Grieving is the cost of loving someone so much it is so hard to let them go. So this morning you will hear from many individuals sharing their memories of Bobby and how Bobby impacted their lives. We will have a video tribute to Bobby and a presentation for the family. So at this point, I would like to call forward Lodi Fire Chaplain Steve Steele for an opening invocation.
My name is Steve Steele. I'm one of the lead pastors here at First Baptist Church, and it is our great honor to host you here today. And on behalf of our church congregation and family, our deepest condolences for your loss. Would you join me in prayer? Father God, help us in the sadness and darkness of this day as we remember the precious life of Robert Van Ruiten, Jr. Comfort and strengthen us, O Lord, as we remember and honor Bobby, his life, and his selfless service to our community. Father, we know your word says you knit him together in his mother's womb and you ordered his days, but on this day we are left with broken hearts and questions why, as you have seen fit to call him home. Father, we also specifically pray for Bobby's family, friends, and brothers and sisters in the fire service. May we all be comforted in our sorrow and sure in the confidence of our lasting hope. And direct us, God, in your great wisdom as we remember those who have gone before us. In your matchless and holy name we pray. Amen.
So when I was asked to speak today, I took it with a heavy heart. A lot of preparation went into standing before you today to sum up the life of a great young man. And I felt it so important over the past few weeks to hear from many of you, the family and friends, to come up with this idea of who is Bobby? What did Bobby mean for each of us? And so I wrote this in part reflection of the things that you told me, the things that you experienced, and the things that I felt from you. So earlier this week, I had the opportunity to spend time with Bobby's family. It was a time to reflect on memories, and what an amazing family I saw. Sitting at their kitchen table, Bob Sr. filled me in on how it was to raising Bobby, And I can tell you that the Bobby stories Bob Sr. told me were consistent with the Bobby that I knew. Raising Bobby was a challenge. He could be a handful, but he had plenty of great stories. We began with when Bobby was 4 or 5 years old. His dad caught him on a backhoe tractor, and Bobby was able to figure out the controls and started digging holes in the backyard. No one taught him how to do this. He just figured this thing out. You know, we went on to talk about how Bobby loved to push boundaries. He loved to push the limits of his father. Bobby drove a Jeep Wrangler to high school, and his driving practices were definitely known to the Tokay High School staff. From time to time, students were known to drive through an open field on the south side of town after a rainstorm, a practice known as mudding. One afternoon, Bob Sr. noticed that Bobby returned home from school and the Jeep had a small patch of blue paint blown off the hood. But the Jeep was immaculate, not a speck of dirt on it, not even a water spot. As he examined the Jeep a little closer, he noticed drips of dirt dripping from the underside of the hood. Lifting the hood, he discovered that the motor was covered in mud, and Bobby had indeed gone mudding that day and had tried to cover it up at the car wash, but forgetting to lift the hood to clean it off, leaving incriminating evidence behind. On another occasion, Bob Sr. received a notification on Life 360 app that Bobby was driving at an excessive rate of speed on the freeway while en route to San Diego. Bob Sr. quickly calls Bobby and rips into him for trying to slow him down. And Bobby answers the phone and completely complies as he throws Richard Diaz under the bus by saying, "Hey, Richard, my dad says you need to slow down." Come to find out, Richard was the driver. Whenever Bob Sr. needed help, he could always call on Bobby to come over and help, and Bobby would show up. But according to Bob Sr., Bobby liked to show up dressed for dinner rather than for work. On one occasion, Bob came over to help his dad work on his truck. Bob Sr. was working under the car while Bobby provided top support. As they finished up, Bob Sr. pushed the jack stands out from the truck so Bobby could put them away. The next day, Bob Sr. goes to pull out the truck when he heard a loud sound. Investigating the sound, he discovered that Bobby had missed one of the jack stands and he had hit it. Really not that big of a deal. But as he pulled out further, he noticed these paint marks on the ground in a specific interval. Looking into it, there was another jack stand that was missing, and it was now lodged between his duals, wedging between those duals. Bob Sr. had to hire a mechanic to come out and fix the truck that day. Bobby's assistance ended up costing him money. Bob Sr. knew that his son did not like to sit still. He loved to be on the go. And one day, while riding in the truck with Bob, driving through the Delta and hauling over to the Bay Area, Bob Sr. points out to his son how beautiful the landscape was and how different it looks dependent upon the time of day, the time of year, and the weather. Specifically, he pointed out the colors of the leaves in a tree. In typical Bobby fashion, his reply was, "Rock, rock, tree, tree, it all looks the same to me." Typical Bobby fashion. Bobby's sister Christine brought a different perspective. Being the older sister, she was integral in raising Bobby, both as a big sister and as a mother figure. She drove the Jeep Wrangler before it was Bobby's. She was the only kid in her high school that had a child seat strapped in the back seat of her Jeep on her way to take Bobby to school. Christine explained that Bobby was an all-in brother 100% of the time. Bobby was 10 when Christine and Javier were married, and they loved being together as a family. Bobby loved being an uncle to her boys. He enjoyed doing all of the unsanctioned motorcycle rides. He was the fun uncle. He wouldn't miss a birthday party or even a family event, and for their last birthday, he purchased each of them Pit Viper sunglasses. I had to look that up. I didn't know what that was. Pit Viper sunglasses, not the knockoff ones, but the real ones to make sure they had the best of the best. And she goes on to say this. Christine describes Bobby's interactions with her boys like this. He would do the things with his nephews that he knew their mom would not want them to do. And think about it. Everybody needs an uncle like that. Bobby's younger sister, Audrey, had another perspective of Bobby. Bobby was her best friend. Bobby is her best friend. Her protector, her sidekick, her go out and have a great time with Big Brother. And she shared this. Bobby had her back no matter what. When Bob Sr. was mad at her and displeased with her, she always knew what to do. Call her Big Brother. After informing Bobby of whatever the situation was, Bobby would immediately call Dad and try to smooth things over. Come on, Dad. It's not that bad. She describes her brother as a guy who loved life and loved to be on the go. Baseball games, trips to Las Vegas, trips to Lake Tahoe. And on one occasion, they were in Tahoe at a cabin with some friends. And Audrey had noticed that outside the cabin, there was a bear deterrent electrical fence. And she innocently coerced one of Bobby's friends to touch this fence to figure out what it was. And surprisingly enough, the young man that got shocked that day and would never touch that thing again. And why I mentioned this wasn't the fact of the story, but it was the fact that Bobby was so impressed with her for being able to set up their friend like that, he truly felt she was his mini-me, just like him and his sidekick. One thing that struck me was that in their youth, they traveled back to North Dakota to be part of a visit with their mother. Bobby would go with his sister each year, even though he wasn't required to. He did so because he was her protector. He was her companion, and he was dedicated to being her best friend. So the things I learned from Bobby's family, what they expressed to me, told a story about an intelligent, a loyal, a fun to be around, and wonderful person. Irreplaceable. Over the past few weeks, I've received many text messages from many of you providing your experiences with Bobby. Come to find out, Bobby had an extraordinarily amount of best friends in this room. I'm going to share just a few of these text messages that I received. Back when I got hired and I was on probation, Bobby was an 18-year-old kid who just became an auxiliary. I remember going down to Company 2's and seeing that red-headed auxiliary that was somehow allowed to play handball. I always wondered how that was even possible. They allowed that. You fast forward a few years later when he got hired and we worked together on Engine 12, I got to really know Bobby, and it all made sense then. He was the happiest, most positive, hard-working guy I've met. And that is why the guys at Company 2's loved him and let him play handball. I believe he is the first and will be the last auxiliary to ever be able to play handball. Another one says, working with him at Company 3 over the past few years, and I think most of the guys would attest to this, Bobby was notoriously borrowing articles of clothing. You would show up to work and you couldn't find your pair of shorts, your pants, your boots. And the first place any of us would look would be in Bobby's locker. 99% of the time, there they were in Bobby's locker. He would always deny it and say he had no idea how that ended up there, but it would be followed up with his goofy smile and his funny laugh. I thought this one was touching. Every time he walked into a room, we were better because he was there. Another said, God forbid you ever let him borrow your Class A uniform. I did that once, and it took me 3 months to get it all back. He would slowly bring it back, piece by piece, and it took of all 3 months to get that back. That's funny. Another member wrote this. One of my favorite parts of the job, and something I even find comical, is how nervous guys get during probation, specifically during the rig test. It's funny to me because even for those guys who have been through combat or who have seen life and death situations, there's something about the rig test in front of your captains and engineers that you respect. It's so incredibly nerve-wracking. It's one of my favorite parts because they are so nervous because they care so much about the job. Bobby had been with us for 5 or 6 years before he got hired. He probably knew our rig better than most firemen on the job when he got hired. He was smart and he studied. There was no reason for him to be nervous for the rig test. Well, Bobby, on his first tour, had his first rig test at Company 2's. When it was time to talk about the nozzles, he could not remember the term shutoff. He kept referring to them as turn-ons. And of course, in firehouse fashion, we kept asking him to talk about the nozzles to ensure that he had to keep using the term turn-on as often as possible. It was so funny. He loved the job so much and wanted it so badly, he just got so nervous and was not able to remember the term turn off, I'm getting it. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool how passionate he was for the job. He basically was guaranteed a job, and there was no chance Bobby wasn't making probation, but he wanted it that badly, he was nervous. And so I want to transition a little bit. We talked about family, we've talked about peers, but then I got one from someone he was mentoring, and I wanted to share that. I've been a member of the Stockton Fire Auxiliary Program for 3 years, and my first interaction with Bobby was nothing but smiles and laughs. A funny moment that will forever stick with me will be when I was at my second drill as an auxiliary, and we had to do a drill called the knockout drill, which was consistent of one person uncoupling hose of several sticks of hose, doing as quickly as possible, trying to catch up to the opponent in front of them. It was my turn, and I made it through the rounds until the final round. Finally, Bobby was in the middle of the group spectating. I was so exhausted, but Bobby kept heckling me, saying, "Your last name should be Gonslowez, not Gonzalez." I couldn't help but stop and laugh because it was something I never had heard before. He then proceeded to stay behind me, making me so nervous. When I tagged the person out in front of me, he began yelling, "There's no way Gonslowez beat y'all." From that moment until now, firefighter Van Ruiten has been a mentor to me. For the past 3 years, at every drill, I've learned something new from him. He always pointed out the hard work I put in when I got off work, and he was the first to greet me at drill. I would get off work, and he'd be first at drill. He would drive out to meet me in the Station 2 golf cart and hang out with me until all the other guys got there. I did my first career day with Bobby at Lincoln High School. I have that photo until this day. At the auxiliary dinner, he congratulated me on becoming the auxiliary president and thanked me for my years of service. I'm thankful I had a chance to shake his hand and thank him for his knowledge. So I wanted to take the time to share those stories with you because they were so powerful to me. These tributes reflect the sentiments of his family, his friends, his co-worker brothers and sisters, and those he was mentoring. So many people were affected by Bobby, and they all would call him their best friend. Bobby had an incredible, eclectic friend group that never left anyone behind. His family from his youth, Stockton Explorers, Stockton Auxiliary, Stockton Firefighters, Woodbridge Firefighters, AMR co-workers, his CrossFit community, and even something close to my heart, Upward Basketball. So I want you all to focus on something for a moment. What was it that made Bobby so special to you? Why did he matter so much? Think about it for a moment. I believe I know why. It hit me this week. I have given a speech at each academy graduation ceremony for years. I wanted to give some new material for the 24-2 Fire Academy graduation. This was the class that Bobby taught. I spent a lot of time to come up with some kind of inspirational thought that would propel these new recruits into their careers. I stumbled across a quote from Maya Angelou, which says this: "People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. And as I listened to these stories, that memory burnt so bright in my mind that that's it. That's it. It's how Bobby made you feel. Looking back on my career in the fire service, I cannot reiterate strongly enough how true that sentiment is. In the context of the fire service, this is why communities love their firefighters. They love us in response of how we make them feel. I went on to say the community loves firefighters because of the way we make them feel feelings like pride, education. We make them laugh. We make them excited. We make them calm. We give them hope, and we share in their love. As I finished that speech on that day, I returned to my seat on the stage at UOP, and I ironically had sat right in front of Bobby. I can distinctly remember looking at Bobby's smiling face as he gave me the thumbs up, letting me know he appreciated my words. I can honestly tell you that all I felt in that moment was pride. Pride in that moment in our future, that the fire service had people like Bobby who bought into the real mission about people. Connecting with people on the darkest days and showing up. So the question for all of you is, how did Bobby make you feel? Well, let me help you. He made you proud. He made you proud as his family watched him grow up into a man and take on roles and responsibilities as a first responder. He makes us proud as firefighters as we see him grow in his craft of firefighting and passing it on to the next generation. He made us smarter as he leads that next generation of firefighters, giving them the required knowledge and skills and abilities to be successful. He made us laugh. In almost every situation, Bobby could find humor or become the humor to lighten up the mood and to have a good time. I actually believe this was Bobby's act of service to his friends and family to ensure that everyone was being included. He made us excited. Bobby was an adventurer and could not sit still. There was always room in Bobby's itinerary for you. He made us calm. He was the protector of his family and friends, especially his younger sister. If you were in trouble or you needed help, Bobby would be there. He gave us hope. When you needed Bobby, he would show up 100% of the time and give 100% of his effort. He was always trying to be there for you in times of need. And we shared in his love. Bobby was a big heart guy, leaving no group out, all inclusive. Through his laughter and his time spent, Bobby loved all of you, and our involuntary response was to love him back. So to wrap up my part, I wanted to encourage all of you with a final thought. In life, it is better to have loved greatly and lost than to have never felt that love like that at all. Bobby's life burned fast and bright. But look around today. What a legacy he leaves behind. And now it's up to us. It's our time to carry his memory and continue forward the values he held most dear, sharing our lives in a way that brings everyone in, making everyone safe, making it fun, making people laugh, and enjoying life. So rest easy, Bobby, my friend. We will take this one from here. So now we are going to hear from some of those closest to Bobby on their reflections on Bobby, starting with Bob Sr. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. You made me very proud because Bobby had to learn all that from somewhere. And our family, the group effort, I should say, we made a heck of a man. Everything, we were reaching a point where everything Bobby was involved in, he would call me and give me the little other side. If he was uncomfortable with something, if he was angry at someone. But we were getting a very cool relationship where his good times, but he would come to me when he had a different view. And that was very neat. But seeing him here, it's gone way too soon. We're gonna miss everything. And I hope all the youngsters, everybody that looked at all the fun and whatnot, you look and change things in how you view your daily actions with your families, wives, children, girlfriends, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, everyone, to remember them when business and fun is overwhelming. It's, like I said, we were just getting to a very cool point where he was becoming my buddy and we were moving on from the father-son scolding relationship that I had, raising a wild man. But thank you all for coming. Chief Johnson, you did an excellent job. I could, we all have, just seeing all my friends here who knew Bobby through me, I thank you all. It's wonderful. And all his family, which we had our get-togethers, and he always would get the time. This Christmas, he got mandoed, so we missed him, but he was always there. So again, thank you all. Just thank you. Audrey, are you next? Or Chrissy? Okay. My daughter Christine and son-in-law Javier.
Hello, my name is Christine. I'm Bobby's older sister.
I'm Javier, his brother-in-law. I first met Bobby when he was 3 years old. As I walked into their house for the first time, I saw a giggling little red-headed boy, butt naked, running quickly down the stairs and around the house trying to escape his mother's call for bath time. And with the friendly demeanor he's well known for, he had no qualms to walk over to me and say hi before sprinting back upstairs for his bath.
Bobby was a character from day one. He had no fear of strangers and he loved meeting people. He was outgoing and energetic his whole life. One day we were at the post office and Bobby heard someone tell me how cute my son was. I was 16 or 17 at the time and quickly clarified he was my little brother. But Bobby heard that and for the next few weeks enjoyed calling me Mama whenever we were in front of people in public. As he got older, it was fun to have him come stay with us in the Bay Area. He got to be a camper in my zoo camp group one summer at the Oakland Zoo and came to help us move a few years later. That time he got to go to work with me for the day and meet my second grade students. When Bobby was 15, he was excited to become an uncle. He was definitely the fun uncle, and our boys loved getting to spend time with him. From family trips to the boys' birthday parties, our boys loved being able to spend time with Uncle Bobby. Most recently, he was giving them rides on his motorcycle up and down my dad's driveway on Thanksgiving.
Without a doubt, we know that Bobby lived his life to the fullest. He was living life in the fast lane. In true fashion, Bobby loved to travel to any location that would offer him a good time. I'm reminded of Bobby when I see the scene from Home Alone, where the mom is at the airport arguing with the ticket agent, trying to get home to her son. She says, "I've been awake nearly 60 hours. I'm tired and I'm dirty. I've been from Chicago to Paris to Dallas to where the hell am I?" Except this was Bobby, and he enjoyed it. We had the opportunity to travel with Bobby on a few occasions. On one trip to LA, we were in Disneyland, while Bobby, Audrey, and Bob were visiting Hollywood Walk of Fame. They were watching the street performer when out of nowhere a limo stopped beside the street performer, and out walks Mark Wahlberg. Except Bobby said out loud, "Look, it's Matt Damon." We always enjoyed hearing about Bobby's travel experiences, such as getting mugged in Barcelona, enjoying his trip to the Mendocino coast, San Diego, Louisiana, Kentucky Derby, football stadiums, baseball stadiums, snowboarding trips, and we are just scratching the surface. Most recently, we spent time with Bobby on Christmas Eve. That night, he received a call asking him to come into work Christmas morning to cover for someone. Without any hesitation, Bobby agreed. This is who he was, duty first. We ended that night with Bobby in disbelief that I had never seen the movie White Chicks, and we proceeded to watch it together, laughing hysterically. Bobby, thank you for being a great brother and an uncle to your nephews.
We love you, Bobby. Your memory will continue to live on in our lives and in our boys' lives. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Audrey Van Ruiten, and I am Bobby's little sister. I want to thank you all for being here today to honor Bobby. It means so much to my family and I to see how many lives he has touched. Standing here is the hardest thing I've ever done because there aren't enough words to describe how amazing my brother was or the hole his absence leaves in all of our lives. He was my big brother, my protector, and my best friend. Growing up, he was always there for me no matter what. We traveled together since I was 5 years old and he was 11, visiting our mother in South Dakota, and he would always make sure to take care of me. Whether it was teaching me to stand up for myself, giving me advice about life, or just making me laugh when I needed it most, he was my rock. He had this way of making me feel safe like nothing in the world could hurt me as long as he was there. Bobby wasn't just my brother, he was a hero and friend to all in every sense of the words. Working in the fire service wasn't just work to him, it was his calling. Helping people, saving lives, and being part of a team that served the community made him truly happy, and I know he was proud to be a part of something bigger than himself. As we all know, Bobby wasn't just work and no play. He had the biggest personality, the brightest smile, and a spirit that could light up any room. He loved spending time with his family and friends, whether it was a birthday party, a last-minute trip to snowboard, or a night in downtown Lodi, as he liked to call it, DTL. He made every moment with him fun and unforgettable, from listening to Sexy Red, who actually made it to his #1 artist in 2024, to bringing Archie, his dog, around with him everywhere. To me, he was everything. He wasn't just my big brother, he was my confidant, my cheerleader, and my protector. He taught me what it means to live life to the fullest, to love deeply, and to show up for the people you care about. It didn't matter who he was with, he always had a way of connecting and making people feel that they matter. His light wasn't just for me, it was for everyone. I love you more than words can say, Bobby, and I'll miss you every day for the rest of my life, but I promise to carry on your legacy, to be brave, smile, and have fun. I'll keep your memory alive in everything I do. Some people never get to meet their heroes, but I was lucky enough to grow up with mine. Thank you.
Well, Bob, I'm here. I'd like to start with just one quick little prayer because I'm kind of nervous. Lord God, you are my great and gracious Heavenly Father, and I do ask right now, Lord, that you will comfort and guide Audrey and Bob and Christina and his nephews and all the rest of the family, Lord, in this horrible, tragic loss, Lord God. Please calm my spirit now as I try to speak. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Bob called me on the morning after this happened, and I missed the call, as I always do with Bob. And I knew it was bad when I got inside. I live where I can't pack my phone. I have no phone service. I couldn't get Bob to answer because he was busy, and Audrey answered and told me what happened and broke my heart. I'm not up here because I knew Bobby. I'm up here because I knew Bob and Audrey, and I love them. Bob asked if I would get up here and speak, and I go, well, Bob, what do I say? I don't know. And he says, well, tell him you're my spiritual advisor. And so I know that I've listened to Bob as Bobby was growing up on the phone. The hard times, raising 3 boys, I know what he was going through. You love them, but man, they will try your patience. And then I've spent the last years here in Bob's pride as Bobby achieved his goals in life. I knew Audrey, I've known Audrey very well, and I think I see Bobby through her, because once upon a time I told Audrey, she was on the phone, her dad was outside the truck. I said, I'll give you $20 if you tell your dad that bubble on the front of his trailer's gay. And she did it, and I paid her the $20. Audrey and Bob have been a very big part of my life, and I know with Bob wanting to be the fireman and looking at all you firemen, I was trying to think about what I wanted to say, and I know that Bobby's goal in life to be a first responder. All of you are like at 9/11. As all the people are running from their fear and their terror, you guys run towards it as you are called to do, and it's a very admirable quality that you all have. And then I have to be a little spiritual, because Bob said I was a spiritual advisor. And in John 11, Lazarus gets sick, and they send a 911 call to Jesus. Well, he didn't get there very fast because the phones weren't real good, and it took a while, and he told everybody that it was for God's glory that it took him too long. And when he gets there, Martha's kind of upset at him for not getting there and responding fast enough. And he told Martha, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will never die. And he was true to his word. He raised Lazarus, but because that's who my Father is. And after that, he goes to the cross and he dies, and he's raised again after 3 days. And now he stands there with his hands out waiting for us to respond to him. And I'm not going to get more carried away, but I just wanted to leave you with that. And I wanted to thank Bob for asking me to stand up here. And I appreciate all of you who showed up for Bobby. And I cannot comprehend the pain that Bob and Audrey and Christine and the kids and his uncles, it was too short, Bobby. Let's not let your life be a waste. May you be like Lazarus. May you bring glory out of this somehow, some way.
All right, for starters, Audrey, did you spell that name? That's incorrect. The I goes after the T. The I goes after the T. It's Audrey's fault, I know that. So I began to write something a few days ago. But as expected, I have no words. So I'm going to, improvise. Bobby would say, "Don't do that, stupid. Hey, you're going to F it up." And that's fine. I don't care. Over the last few weeks, although Bobby was my best friend, I've learned that he was really everybody's freaking best friend. Shit. And I'm glad that we could share that, between all of us. From the Harney Lane gang, growing up in the neighborhood, causing trouble. From Bobby ended up in the back of a cop car when he was 10 or so. I don't know. We were trying to egg a security guard at the Henderson school. We stole eggs from parents' houses. Not enough for them to notice. We didn't get close. We convinced Bobby to hop over the fence. He got closer, and the security guard turned the lights on, so we booked it. And, of course, the sheriff happens to be driving by as some kids are running into some bushes. And we scatter. Then we realize, where's Bobby? Then my sister calls me, and she says, "Matthew, what the did you do?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Why is Bobby in the back of a cop car?" I'm like, all right. So me and Michael have to go to my parents. I was like, "I can't leave Bobby. I have to, if he's in trouble, I have to get in trouble too." And so I go home, and Bobby's in the back, but he's not crying. He's not mad. He's just, I'm scared. And I was 3 years older, and I was scared. And so the sheriff has to take him home and walk up to Bob's door. I'm crying because I'm worried that Bobby's going to get in so much trouble. But Bob wasn't too mad, actually. Just get your ass inside, Bob. And that was that. Growing up with Bobby, like I said, the Harney Lane gang to the Murata gang to his firefighter brotherhood, I got to know a lot of you guys over the last few years. I was that lone soldier, non-firefighter. We're at the bar, the girls are coming, and they're like, "Oh, are you a firefighter?" No, they walk away. So Bobby tried to convince me to be a firefighter for years, and, maybe it'll happen in the future, maybe when I'm 40 or so, I still get in there. Bobby and I shared a lot of history from working at Allegro Tire to Lodi Tire, and then both working for the city of Stockton. We had a lot to relate on. From the other jobs, he referred me, and I got hired and made more money than him immediately. And, that pissed him off. I was his boss, but I was never really his boss. I let him, we did what we wanted. We had a good time. And this is the part where, maybe I shouldn't have improvised, but I just know I love Bobby. Even from the camping trips, he was that one, also a lone soldier in the beginning, where I invited him one time with my friends and stuck around for years to come. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to stay up late at Bob's house when he went to sleep, turn the PlayStation or the Xbox back on, turn it on silent, and just play all night. Eat Oreos every night. And Audrey being there forever, it's something you don't remember, but from recent pictures, I realized, they're as much my family as I am theirs. And that was the thing about me and Bobby is, I don't think we have as many pictures or videos together as I would hope, but Bobby and I would be okay without the pictures or the videos because every time we were there or there together, we were in the moment. We didn't worry about the phones. We would make fun of people that took pictures and videos, like, what the heck are they doing, So I'm going to learn from Bobby. Going through his Instagram, he posted a lot of family, so I'm going to continue to support family and carry on the traditions. Bob, I'll be around, that. Sometimes Bob, or I would just be there sometimes, dropping off Archie, or even in the past, and Bob would be like, "All right, I'm working on the truck, get over here," I didn't know what this was or that was, but I would look and try my best. Or, just to reflect on another story, Bobby was a fit guy, right? And I don't know how the heck my dad did it when they challenged each other at planks. The 4+ minutes, I couldn't do it. I knew to step out of that. Bobby was like, I could beat you, Romero. So they stood up, and my dad won. And this was recent, probably less than 2 years ago. I don't know how. I don't know what my dad's taken. I'm just watching and recording. I got to find this video, but, it just shows, the history that we had is no words, nor are there enough videos or pictures. Savannah, my girlfriend, she also said, oh, now I know you have emotion, because she's seen it definitely over the last few weeks. I'm not really good at that, but I'll be better. Bobby loved his family. He loved everybody. He would call me and we would talk about certain things. And sometimes he would often call me and say, hey, what would you do if this happened or that happened and this? And I would tell him, and he'd be like, good, because I already did that. Whether it was wrong or right, as long as we both agreed, we were right. Whether it was relationships, friends, work, all this, all that, it was just more something like, if Bobby says it's okay, it's okay. So I would just like to leave it off with this and say, I love everybody here. A lot of us have grown closer over the last few weeks, and I want that to continue to grow because that's what Bobby would want. His friends are my friends, and my friends are his. His family's my family, and my family's his. So, thank you, Bobby. This is where the road ends for us. And I just got to keep asking myself, what would Bobby do if he was in my shoes? He would just keep on living because that's what I would want him to do. Enjoy life responsibly and carry it on, carry the torch. Be successful, start a business. We always talked about it. He talked about it with several others. From opening a coffee shop to this, to that, all this stuff, and all of the above, just like, how are we going to get rich, And he talked with many of you about that. It's coming, Bobby. It's coming, Bobby. And your friends will be there too. Thank you.
I was kind of hoping there was going to be a step stool up here, but hope you guys could see me. Well, my name is Zach Ross, and as well as it sounds like most people in the room, I would like to consider myself as one of Bobby's best friends. I'm never going to forget the first time that I met Bobby. Me and about 15 other guys were just about to start the Stockton Academy when we were all trying to figure out where to meet up before so we could kind of get a game plan and get in there. And before anyone could do anything, Bobby offered up, hey, you guys just come to my house, no big deal. So we all show up at Bobby's house, and it's locked. So no one could get in. We couldn't reach him. Then we finally get him, and he says, oh, there should be a key in the gutter. You guys could just find it. And honestly, if not, just break in somehow. And then he proceeded to show up like 2.5 hours late. But that was Bobby, just inviting 15 guys he never met in his life, opening up his home to everybody because he always wanted us to be together and have a good time and feel comfortable. And we all got a really good laugh out of having to break into his house. Over the next few years, I've had countless memories and laughs, stories with Bobby, from rock concerts, EDM concerts, snowboarding in Tahoe, getting to enjoy working with him and playing jokes on people at work, as well as watching him get scared every time he had to get a bait fish out of the bait bucket to put a fish on the hook. And no one here is going to be able to forget about his bowling obsession. To this day, I'm still having memories with Bobby. This morning, I went to try on my Class A, and as I put it on, I realized that the sleeve shot halfway past my hands, and it dawned on me that I probably dropped off the wrong jacket at the dry cleaners, and it was probably one that Bobby borrowed from somebody weeks, months, or however long it's been in there before. So as soon as I put it on, I knew what happened, and I knew that he was laughing at me while it was happening. My relationship with Bobby began to grow past the new young fireman phase, as our conversations got deeper, our plans got bigger, and our friendships grew stronger. Whether we were thinking of ways to help each other in our houses, fun trips we could plan with our girlfriends, our siblings, and our families, or just speaking about problems and venting out, I'll never forget, every time I would talk to him about something, he would just say, "Don't worry about it, Primo. You know it's going to blow over in 10 minutes. Just forget about it," even though he knew that I wasn't going to forget about it. No matter who you were to Bobby, he knew how to make you feel better about any situation that you were going through. But that's because Bobby cared about everybody that he met. Everyone got the same goofy, happy, fun Bobby, and all of us got lucky to have Bobby in our lives. Even if it wasn't as long as we wanted it to, but knowing Bobby and having him as a friend comes at a cost. As I'm sure most of you are feeling this, probably took a big piece out of you that can't be explained to anybody who didn't know Bobby. Only knowing him for the past few years, I consider myself extremely lucky because I've had a lifetime of friendship and laughs within that short period, and I know that I'll never forget the impact that he's had on my life. I know he would want me to watch over his little sister and his dad because he was always telling us how much that they meant to him and how important everything was with him. So in the words of Bobby Van Ruiten, "Don't worry, Primo. We'll take care of things down here until we meet again. I love and miss you. May you rest in peace." Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, my name's Richard Diaz. January 3rd, I was honored with the opportunity to be the family liaison and kind of take this head on. I'd be remiss to try to take credit for everything, and there's some people that made this all happen to make what you see here and what you're going to see later and what you've seen so far happen. Matt and Steve Knight, your 24 hours notice candlelight visual that had 400 people show up. Captain Kevin Taylor, all the audio-visual stuff, all the pamphlets and brochures, everything that you see was him. The video that you're about to watch, thank you. Venue seats 700 people, we're at capacity, and then some. We need a reception that's going to hold that. I tasked Ryan Rose, "Hey, can you handle the reception?" He said, "Absolutely." And I only heard from him 2 times to just let me know that everything was going great. Zach Ross, as liaison to the family, that immediate your relationship and rapport on the things that I couldn't get to. Nate Volbrick and our honor guard that you see here, from the casket watch at the viewing to what you're seeing today, thank you. Chief Ken Johnson, one of my mentors, they said, "Do you have anybody that could do this?" Without a doubt, it was going to be you. Chief Eric Patton, handling the Sea of Blue, and my multiple phone calls, just helping me talk through it. President of the Local 456, Captain Devin Robeson, and the Local 456 E-Board, your help in making this happen, I appreciate it. To our fire administration, doing the logistics behind the scene and allowing all of us to be able to be here. Pastor Steve Still and Pastor Glenn Barnes here at First Baptist Church and all the FBC staff. Woodbridge Fire District standing casket guard yesterday. AMR, I don't know if you know, but the helicopter that was there, that wasn't by chance. That was actually a reach flyover that they did for Bobby. Our bagpiper from Sacramento Pipes and Drums, Art LeClaire. And our original honor guard on on January 3rd, Engine 9 on the C shift. I appreciate you guys, and I know that in that moment of uncertainty was weighing, and so thank you guys. Right now, in order for Stockton to be able to be here, we have cover crews, Modesto, Sac City, Manteca, Lathrop Manteca, South County, Linden Peters, Alameda, Livermore, Lodi, Consumnes, Sac Metro, McCollum, and Waterloo Murata, all covering the city of Stockton to allow us to be here. So if you're watching, thank you. We have a couple units that are down in LA that asked if this was going to be live streamed, so hopefully they're having an opportunity to watch. Unit from Stockton as well as Woodbridge and surrounding areas. Thank you, guys. I had a quote that a mentor of mine had come up with, and it says, "The merit of a man is evident by the lives they affect and the legacy that they leave behind." There's an assumption about what it is to be a leader, thinking that the more credentials you have and the higher rank that you have, that equates to being a good leader. That's not the case. A great leader inspires confidence in people and moves them into action. And if you look at everything that all of you have done, all the stories and how Bobby made you feel, Bobby was that leader that made you feel like the most important thing at that moment. For me, I don't consider Bobby a best friend. I had an opportunity to be his mentor. When I first met him, I was volunteering in the auxiliary. I was in charge. He came, and I started mentoring him. As we grew through the years, I knew that his motivation was going to get him hired with the Stockton Fire Department, and my goal was to give him everything that I could to make that happen and make that successful. Because of that time as an Auxie, I more equate him to my little brother. I had extremely high expectations for him. I hammered him on everything, from how his uniform looked, to how much stuff he was torn, to his haircut looking like crap. And I hammered him because I knew that he was great. I made fun of him like a big brother would do. Most of my stories, or most of my videos, all happen to be me making fun of him. Like a little brother, I had a lot of sporting endeavors, and I needed a co-pilot. You've heard stories about handball. Somehow he was able to break that passage and be able to play at twos, so he had some experience. And when I was nearing ending probation, I didn't want to look like a dummy going out on the handball court, so I had called him. Hey, you want to give me some practice? And so him and I, for a few months, we went out to Dentoni Park, because we lived around the corner from there, and we played. And I'll admit, he beat me. Probably a couple weeks worth, he beat me, because he had months of experience. But it was shortly thereafter, took over, and his wins were few and far between, and he hated it. Pickleball. Had this idea of going down to the firefighter Olympics and winning pickleball gold. There's some really good players. But Bobby was my partner. In multiple years, we drove down, we had fun, we were competitive, got our butts kicked, and went back. I played softball, and there'd be a last-minute cancellation, and I needed somebody. And without a doubt, I knew the person that I would call was going to be Bobby, and he would show up at a split-second notice. And while we're on the field, Bobby was just good enough to make do, if that makes sense. And he would go up to bat, and he'd do a bat twirl. And I'd tell him, stop bat twirling. Everybody in the outfield knows that you're not that good if you do the bat twirl. Like, just go up there, act like you've been there, and go. But him and I, we shared those sports. The day before, January 2nd, we were bowling for a company Christmas party. Most everybody that was there was playing and having a good time and kind of conversing and whatnot, except for myself, Bobby, and Paul Hong. We were the three competitive people that were on our own lane, throwing the ball down, arguing with each other, and being competitive. And that was our relationship. This is where it gets tough. Where do I go from here? I am mad at you, Bobby. You were my pickleball partner. We always talked that if they put handball in the Olympics, that we would go down and we'd win gold. There might be a few of you that disagree, but I'll take that bet any day. Who's going to be my last minute call to go and play? I was supposed to watch you get married. Maybe. I was going to watch you have kids and be an uncle to them and guide you on how to be a good dad. But these past couple weeks, Bob, the time that I spent with you, I'm envious of the father that Bobby had. You're firm and loving and caring. Well, I'll never be the one to be able to replace Bobby or come close. I want you to know, and I told you this from the beginning, that our relationship is going to be for years to come, and I'm here. Audrey, you said Bobby was your rock. Again, I'll never be able to replace him. But with the sea of blue that you see behind here and a couple members that we talked to, I rue the day that somebody crosses you, because it's gonna be problematic. There's a number of us that have already said that you're gonna be our adopted sister, and I mean that. Christine and Javier, and to your boys, Jacob and Grant, Uncle Bobby was the best, without a doubt. You've gained another uncle. I'm here. Bobby, to you, you better keep practicing. I don't want any excuses, because when I make it up there, I'm going to make up for lost time. My friend, my brother, until we meet again, keep smiling. I love you.
Find me, oh, somewhere star. Wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops. High above the chimney top, that's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?
With our wheel right next to that jack. Okay. And then we're going to reconnect so we can hit the broad side. All those windows. We're too shallow over here.
On a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine moaning out his one-night song. You can think about the woman or the girl you knew the night before. But your thoughts will soon be wandering the way they always do when you're riding 16 hours and there's nothing much to do. And you don't feel much like riding, you just wish the trip was through. See, here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Here I go playing star again. There I go. Turn the page. Well, you walk into a restaurant, strung out from the road, and you feel the eyes upon you as you're shaking off the cold. You pretend it doesn't bother you, but you just want to explode. Yeah! Most times you can't hear them talk, other times you can. All the same old cliches. Is that a woman or a man? And you always seem outnumbered. You don't dare make a stand. Here I am on the road again. There I am up on the stage. Here I go playing star again. There I go, turn the page. Out there in the spotlight, you're a million miles away. Every ounce of energy you try to give away. As the sweat pours out your body like the music that you with the echoes from the amplifiers ringing in your head. You smoke the day's last cigarette, remembering what she said.
Congratulations, Bobby!
Here I am, on the road again. There I am, up on the stage. Here I go, playing the star again. There I go, turn the page. Here I am, on the road again. There I am, up on the stage. Here I go, playing star again. There I go, there I go.
I physically can't leave. Right through the window. You guys ready?
Yeah.
What?
Well, 18 years old, full of hate. They shipped me off in a motorcade. They said, boy, you're gonna fight a war. You don't even know what you're fighting for. I lost friends in the August heat. At night it was God I'd always meet. I said, Lord, won't you bring me home? I got women in the West I wanna hold. And I lost you in a waiting room after sleeping there for a week or two. Doctor said he did all he could. You were the last thing I had that was good. So I walked miles on the Tulsa streets. Lights started beaming in from the east. 6 a.m. and up again, asking God where the hell he'd been. He said the sun's gonna rise tomorrow, somewhere on the east side of sorrow. You better pack your bags west, stick out your chest, and then hit the road. The sun's gonna rise tomorrow, somewhere on the east side of sorrow. Don't give it a reason to follow. Let it be, then let it go. Let it be, then let it go.
If you want to battle, we can battle.
His brother lost his mind, his last fall. Was it his blood or his conscience or the alcohol? Did the Navy do him well, or did he wind up sick like every other brave boy from these rundown sticks? You ever get tired of singing songs like all your pain's just enough and sing along? If you ever get the time, come on home. My turnpike's back together and they're writing songs. He said the sun's gonna rise tomorrow, somewhere on the east side of sorrow. You better pack your bags, well, stick out your chest and then hit the road. The sun's gonna rise tomorrow, somewhere on the east side of sorrow. Don't give it a reason to follow. Let it be, then let it go. Let it be, then let it go.
Get it going. Hop in, pop the clutch, Bobby. There you go.
Oh, look at her.
They get the bus. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's that slim, thick, crumble skin, firefighters, the 10, hair done, bills paid, catch me sliding in a Benz. I ain't looking for no man, I ain't recruiting no new friends, but we bad, filled with bands. Gone sexy, do your dance. Get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy. Boy, you know this super fat. Me good, I'm throwing it back. He wanna kiss me all over my tag. I'm so sexy, they attack. Feeling myself 'cause I know that I'm next. Riding through St. Louis in the skate. Bust down middle point, I got it black. Walking through the club looking like a snack. Get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy. Big sexy blood, love that. Bounce that, touch some toes. Booty shorts, swole, thong all of my. Cheetahs, they on gold, trust her, that's a no. He can eat my dough. Awesome, Johnson got me though. Little me sexy, walking down the street. I don't know what to do 'cause after me. I'm so sexy, yeah, my skin is glistening. Diamonds hitting hard, wanna try my tan. Get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy, get it sexy. Slim, thick, crumble skin, firefighters, the 10, hair done, bills paid, catch me sliding in a Benz. I ain't looking for no man, I ain't recruiting no new friends, but we bad, filled with bands. Gone sexy, do your dance. Get it sexy, get it sexy,
What a beautiful tribute to an incredible young man. May how Bobby made you feel never leave your hearts. So this is the conclusion of today's celebration of life. You are all invited to a reception at Hutchins Street Square following this memorial. There will be an opportunity at Hutchins Street Square for each of you to share some of your personal stories about Bobby on an open mic. But to close us in a blessing, let me say this. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and give you grace. May the Lord turn his face towards you and bring you peace. At this time, if I could have all the uniformed officers please exit the auditorium and gather outside for our final send-off. For the rest of you, please remain seated for just 1 minute. So as we dismiss, if you would like to do a final viewing, please assemble from the north and pass towards the south and exit out those south doors. If you don't prefer for a final viewing, please exit out the west doors and we will do our final send-off on the outside of the church. Family and close friends, please stay as everyone else exits the building. Thank you all for attending today's memorial. May God bless you. Thank you.